get the URL of the site right, and it's pro PR tips, not PR pro tips. Just saying. But thank you very much for that intro. Glad to be here. This is a really interesting topic we have going for today. I want to kind of set the stage for a second, and then I'll introduce this, I think, very interesting and wide-ranging group of experts we have to discuss this. So we're going to talk today about how to leverage the cloud, or the move towards cloud computing, and how to make money from it. First, I think it's really important that we kind of adopt a very broad definition of the space that we're talking about, because when you talk about serious enterprise computing and hosted services, things can get fuzzy. Traditionally, for example, cloud computing implied off-site hosting of resources. But today we're hearing about private clouds, companies running their own cloud services. And they're doing this, of course, to take advantage of the best that a cloud architecture can offer, which is scalability, manageability, reliability. Cloud computing is about elastic and flexible computing resources. It's a very, very broad definition, but it represents, I think, a fundamental shift in the way enterprise and web applications are being developed and deployed. So service companies like Salesforce have shown that software as a service can be definitely a money-making business. Hosting business is being taken up by Amazon, of course, and Google, and now Microsoft, as well as traditional infrastructure players like Rackspace, and companies like Sun and Cisco are making money selling cloud hardware. And there are interesting small startups. One I really like is a Y Combinator company called CloudKit, which is a management front end for cloud services. All these are making money in the cloud space. So to discuss this, I want to introduce this very interesting group here. Starting at my immediate left, if I get this right, Ken Comee, the CEO of Cast Iron Systems. Monica Lamb, the co-founder and chief scientist at MokaFive, a very interesting company. Juan, I got this in the right order, this is awesome. Juan Soto, who's the VP at Sun Microsystems, and I'm not allowed to ask him anything about Oracle, but if you guys do, I can't stop that. Chip Hazard, the general partner at Flybridge Venture Capital. Michael Stein, CEO of Darkstrand, which is not a movie about Batman. And finally, Peachy, the chief architect and director of engineering at cloud computing at Tibco. So let's get started by talking about the scope and the size of this market. If you have any numbers, or from your company's perspective, what is the market of cloud computing? Not just the future, but size of it and the real opportunity there. Anybody want to take that?
Well, I'll start. We chatted about it earlier. I will tell you that it's been very frustrating as a business guy at Sun that's running the business part of our cloud computing business unit, that there really isn't a very easy way to size the market today. We've really struggled with that. We've looked at all the analyst reports we can get, and some predict the market is over 40 billion. I even saw a number, not 40 billion today, for the next 5 years or so. I even saw a number as big as $160 billion over the next decade. The problem with all of the numbers that people are throwing out about cloud computing is, number one, and we all, I think, would agree, there isn't a single succinct definition of cloud. And in fact, when you look at all the analyst reports, they throw a lot of the kitchen sink, as I call it, in there. So we had sort of been trying to figure out how to size the opportunity, in particular from the perspective of the business that we're in, which is providing enterprise-grade hardware and software systems to companies that want to build and run their own clouds. We find that that number is respectable, it's pretty decent. If you look at just the infrastructure as a service side, where maybe people put more of the Amazons in the world, it might surprise you all, that market today we think is significantly under $1 billion right now, so it's not that big. I'll just make one last comment, which is in trying to come up with a number, we've triangulated it 2 or 3 different ways, from developer adoption to hosting company sizes, and it's hard to get a single figure.
Anybody can do better?
I guess I would maybe think about it a little bit differently, which is if you take the definition we're using today of cloud, which is services that are available in an elastic, dynamic way out in the infrastructure, again, either public infrastructure, private infrastructure, or hybrid, ultimately that is the software industry. And so you could say 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that cloud and the software industry are to a certain extent synonymous, and therefore you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in size. And the way I think about cloud is every once in a while there comes a time where technology innovation meets an architectural shift and the two of them take off. And so some of the context, the ideas we're talking about in cloud are not new. Utility computing was talked about 5 years ago, and so why are we now talking about cloud? And it's because there's been innovation on the technology side with virtualization, and CPU architectures, and network bandwidth, and data centers, and all these things that enable this architecture that allows consumers and end users to build applications that they're paying by the drink, they're elastic, they're dynamic, and it allows them to deploy and put forward applications in a much more rapid way. And that's the architectural shift that I think is pretty fundamental, and therefore, the end result is going to be a market that's going to be very, very large.
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I think we're just seeing the beginning of cloud computing. I think looking forward, everything will be up in the cloud. I'm not talking about just the kind of software we have today, but everything on your desktop, you can put all the desktop state in the cloud. Gartner reported something like by 2011, we're talking about over 500 million desktops will be virtualized, and they can all be managed in the cloud. I think it's going to be really big.
Well, this is a great opportunity to argue with my right honorable lady friend. But I don't believe everything's going to be in the cloud. I think it's going to be a hybrid world for many, many, many years. Probably a majority of most of our careers in here, and certainly the majority of mine. I don't see everything moving to the cloud. You have major investments, both resources and money, into legacy systems that are just too important and strategic to move up into the cloud. So it's going to be a hybrid world.
Well, you're talking about two different things here. Just to sidetrack briefly on this, you're talking about desktops, and I believe you're talking about traditional enterprise applications, if I read you guys correctly.
I would agree with Ken that it's IT computing in general will never go entirely to the cloud.
Okay.
Entirely to the public cloud. They may run their internal private data centers in a cloud-like way.
Sure.
And if I was an enterprise IT guy right now, and my end user can call up Amazon and get a server stack provisioned in 5 minutes, and he or she calls me up and gets it, my response time is I can get you a server stack provisioned in 5 weeks. I don't look so good. And so I need to be investing in my internal data center to make it more cloud-like. So yes, and I agree with the premise that not everything's moving to the public cloud. It's not all going to run on AWS. But on the other hand, there's going to be internal clouds, private clouds that are going to run in ways that adopt a lot of the cloud philosophy.
So
I'd like to clarify what I just said, because I think I agree with them more than they think I agree with them. The reason is that what I'm saying is that the state is in the cloud, but I don't really believe that all the computing cycles are going to go into the cloud. And my point is that you've got a virtualized state in the cloud, and you're going to download it and run it on your local machine, because for desktop applications where you need interactivity. Okay? So I think it is just that, what we are seeing today is that the computation is in the cloud, but moving forward, the state is in the cloud, and the computation should be done where it needs to be done. Locally for the desktop and back room, it's going to be in the data center.
So
I agree, it's too expensive to put everything up in the cloud.
So what do we think then that are the Salesforce.com like open spaces in this business? The large opportunities for actually making money from this new